All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to this press conference in front of our Congressman Fred Upton. My name is Jose Aguilera. I'm a statewide board member with Michigan Organized Employer and AIR, Alliance for the Immigrants' Rights. And real quick here, I would like to introduce Pastora Marta from Hartford to open up with a little prayer before we go into the various speakers that are going to be taking part on this press conference. So let us bow and pray so that God will be with us and pray for all those issues in our families that we're going to be talking about today.
Hi everyone, my name is Marta Reyes, Pastor Marta Reyes. We pray everyone to God. Amen. Señor Jesús, en esta hora venimos delante de tu presencia. Creemos, Señor, que tú eres un Dios bueno, poderoso, grande y sobre todas las cosas, que tú estás aquí en este lugar. Pedimos, Señor, por Señor, cada uno de Padre, los propósitos que tú tienes, Señor, sobre esta nación, sobre cada persona, sobre cada familia. Creemos, Señor, en tu palabra y creemos, Señor, que no hay justo desamparado y que tú tienes el poder, Señor, para hacer cosas grandes y sobrenaturales sobre cada una de las familias, Señor, que en este momento estamos clamando, Señor, porque tú hagas algo, Señor, una legalización, Señor, Padre, por cada una de estas personas, Señor, que están en este lugar, Señor, creyendo, Señor, uniéndonos a una voz, Señor, y pidiéndote, Padre, que tú seas, Señor, el que obres en los corazones de los gobernantes, en los corazones del Congreso, en el corazón del presidente, Señor. Creemos, Señor, que hay cosas grandes que tú estás haciendo y vas a hacer noticias buenas, Señor, donde va a haber una legalización para cada familia, Señor, donde tú vas a unir aún las familias que han sido separadas por causa de estas leyes. Tú las vas a unir, Señor. Padre, aquellos que se han tenido que distanciar, se han tenido que ir por causa de las leyes, padres e hijos separados, tú los juntas, Señor, nuevamente. Así también creemos, Padre, que hay una esperanza viva, porque sabemos que tú nunca llegas tarde y las cosas que tú haces, las haces perfectas. Gracias por cada mujer, por cada varón que está en este lugar, creyendo el que se ha levantado a decir que sí se puede, la voz que se levanta en este día y dice que sí es posible, y que hay una esperanza viva para aquel que puede creer. Gracias, Señor, en el nombre de Jesús. Amén.
Amen.
Thank you, Pastora Marta, for praying and introducing us. As we all know, immigration is not just an issue that matters when we hear about, campaigns, commercials, or newspapers. A broken immigration system has clearly been devastating and impacting millions of families across our nation, millions of U.S. citizens who live with immigrants in our community and also as well as our economy. And we believe that it's time, right now is the time to urgent action, not just more promises. But right now is the time to push forward. And last November, we believe that the Latino, the Asian, and the Arab American community spoke clearly by re-electing President Obama. And basically that was the promise that he was going to reform immigration reform and take another important bills that we all care about. We believe that President Obama, when he says that he was going to reform immigration reform this year, when he said immigration reform is a priority for 2013, and we are still waiting on that, and that's why today we're pushing forward and asking him and sending that message to him and Congressman Fred Upton to work on a bill and a comprehensive immigration reform for all families so we stop the suffering and the ripping apart and bring those back that have been torn apart from our families. We also believe that the 11 million people that are living under the shadow should have a chance to come forward and have a chance to integrate into the American society since they have been here for many years, contributing already to the economy and being part of what it is America. Here to put in a clear perspective, I'm gonna ask a few of the people that have stories. Gerardo, Andrea, Jan, aren't just victims. They are leaders in their communities. They stepping forward to lead the national campaign for dignity for our immigrant families. Now I'd like to introduce Father Bob. Gerardo first? Okay. I introduce Gerardo to share his story and then...
Hello everyone, my name is Gerardo Zamora Diaz. I was born in a very humble town in Mexico. Brought into a life of poverty and suffering, it was only human to look for more. I had one toy, my home had dirt floors, and my family was hardly surviving. My parents left everything behind because we had nothing. I was only 3 years old, and I don't really remember much from Mexico. My parents wanted a better future for my brother and I, one full of opportunity and hope. We searched for the American dream. I grew up in the United States with my 2 brothers and my parents that broke their back every day to give us what they could never have. My roots are deep in Mexico, but my life bloomed here. All my memories, my friends, my family, my life are here. I'm a dreamer who fell asleep in Mexico and woke up in the United States. When I started school, I was a huge troublemaker that never did my work until one day in 5th grade, my parents gave me a speech that changed my outlook on life. They told me that I was undocumented and that education was the only way to succeed, and one day life would open a door for me. 1 year later, I graduated from elementary with all A's. All throughout high school, I kept one thing clear, that if I wasted my chance for an education, I would have let my parents down. All they would have sacrificed would be in vain. So I worked part-time and did my homework until 1 a.m. every night. I would do field work in negative-degree weather with my father, and he would always say that he never was given an opportunity to go to school. He made it clear to me that if I didn't try in school, I would end up exactly like him, working until his back broke. Everything I did was to make my parents proud. Through all this struggle and dedication, I received a scholarship for WMU for 4 years, and then graduated from high school with a 3.9 GPA. If it wasn't for that incentive scholarship, I would have never been able to attend a university. In college, I got into a graphic design program that only accepts 20 students every year. I was on the dean's list every semester. I received the art director award for the art school and graduated summa cum laude with a 3.9 GPA. I worked hard and took nothing for granted. I drove around illegally every day with the fear of getting pulled over and deported just because I wanted to get ahead. I took out no student loans. I only had the help of my family and the small amount of money I made working part-time jobs and doing freelance design. I felt like nothing could stop me. After graduation, my design program went to New York City to experience the graphic design work environment. The whole trip, I had a bittersweet feeling in my stomach. I had an amazing time, and yet the thought that I wouldn't be able to get a job after college was killing me. When I arrived back to Michigan, I started applying for jobs everywhere I could. I kept running into the same problem every time. I didn't have proper documentation to even apply. The interviews I did get were with local firms and companies who ended up not being able to do anything. When I heard about President Obama's Deferred Action Program for young people like me, I was euphoric. I finally had an opportunity. I started applying more, saying in interviews that I was waiting on a work permit. One company gave me work for a month, and I was very happy to have a real salary job. Later, my lawyer told me that the process could take 6 months, so I had to tell my employer, who ended up laying me off. Did that stop me? No. I continued to apply, and I still attempt to advance in my career. Interview after interview, I don't give up and fold. I push back on hard reality and fight. My family asks me why I keep pushing, knowing that it's a dead end, and I know they're right. But I have hope that one day those connections and hard work will pay off. I deserve it, just like I know many others deserve it. The past few months, I've been working in the same fields that I've strived to get away from. That American dream we all seek is one that we need to wake up from. We need to stop falling asleep and open our eyes to reality. The nation's immigration system is broken, and we need to work on putting the pieces back together and to bring the United back into the United States of America. Fred Upton, President Obama, and Congress, we are here because all of us are fighters and dreamers, and the DACA program is a good first step, but it's not permanent. What happens after our permits expire? What about our families and parents who deserve a chance just like we do? My parents have only done what any mother or father would do to see their children succeed. America needs an immigration reform, and it needs to happen this year. Too many families are being torn apart and young talent being deported. Parents and kids alike deserve a chance to progress in life in pursuit of happiness. The immigration community is in the heart of Southwest Michigan. We are here and we will be heard. I want my dream to get out of limbo and become a lucid dreamer to take control of my life. Thank you.
Thank you for that one. It's only one of the many stories. Now I introduce Andrea to come forward and share her story.
Hello, everyone. My name is Andrea Salvador Gonzalez. I'm 19 years old and have been living and contributing to the United States for 18 years of my life. I did well in school, and I'm volunteering and working to help my community. This is my country I love, that I know and that I love, that has invested in me and that I'm investing in now. But this country was also the country that almost tore me away from my family and, most importantly, my son. I'm ready to take a stand and make things right for my country that I love. Many families are getting torn apart due to the broken immigration system that our country suffers from. I would like to share my experience. September 2011, my 2-year-old son had gotten sick. I was headed to take him to the hospital. I was already worried about him like any other mother would be. Then as I drove, I passed the police officer patrol. A cold chill went down my back, but I kept calm. I was followed, pulled over, arrested, and handcuffed in front of my son, Xavier, for not having no driver's license. At that point, I was scared. I did not know if I was ever going to see my son again, or where they were going to take me, or where I was going to be tomorrow or the day after. Millions of terrifying and real thoughts ran through my head. If you're a parent, maybe you can imagine those minutes were like. What would happen to Xavier? How could I take care of him if I was not in this country? Would I ever be able to see him again? Would I be able to celebrate his birthdays and holidays together and see him grow up? I had heard many stories of traffic stops like this, ending with parents and being torn away from their families, but because of their immigration status. I was questioned on my presence on who I was, since I was stopped by a local police officer. I did not engage in talking about my legal status, although he did begin to ask me about it. I was lucky, having had a state ID previously, I was able to confirm who I was. I went to court, paid my fines for not having a license. I was so relieved that I wasn't going to be separated from my son. Being separated from your family is a terrible thing. It's not something that can continue to be ignored anymore because of our broken immigration system. It happens every day. Every day children are torn away from their families and from their parents. Something has to be done. And I am here today to tell you how important it is to always be united as a family. And I am also here today to take leadership in this companion for immigration reform to make sure that families are able to stay united, that mothers are torn away from their children, and husbands are separated from their wives. Our family values are part of what makes this country so strong. And today on behalf of my son, my family, and families like mine, I'm calling the President and Congress to pass immigration reform to keep families together in 2013. Thank you and have a nice day.
Now, Jen, come forward and share your story with us.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Amaya, and I am a leader with the Michigan Organizing Project. Today I speak on behalf of the kids who have had to suffer from a torn family due to this country's broken immigration system. I was about 4 years old when I first came to this country and haven't left since. I am now about to turn 21 years old next month. My mother, Angelica, decided to make the big move to the United States after a series of heartbreaks. They began when I was an infant and her mother passed of breast cancer. They continued when she was newly engaged and her fiancé was mugged and killed at gunpoint. She was with child at the time, and the stress of losing her loved one caused her to lose another one. She miscarried. As a young single mother with limited education, no money, no family, and surrounded by violence, she had no prospects. She decided to look for a brighter future in the U.S. where her father resided. There was no legal pathway available for her, so she came the only way she could, without papers. 5 years later, my mother met and married my stepfather, Rex. Together, they provided me with the best home and most amazing little siblings I could ever ask for, Talia and RJ. 5 years into the marriage, my mother felt that she could still do more for her family and decided to begin the process of trying to file for residency. At the imprudent advice of a lawyer, my mother left her home on February 2nd, 2009, optimistic that she would soon return to her family and be able to help give them an even better life. Needless to say, the only one who benefited from that deal was the lawyer. When she arrived in Mexico, my mother found out that as soon as she had crossed the border, a lifetime ban preventing her from ever returning to the country had gone into effect because she had been deported trying to make it to the land of the American dream once before. She found out that she could never legally come back, even to be with her U.S. citizen husband and children. At that time, I was about to turn 17. My sister was 6 and my brother was 4. To this day, hearing the news about my mother has been the hardest thing I've had to live with. My first life accomplishment, graduation, came and went without much joy because the woman who had given me the chance to make such an achievement happen was stuck in another country. For the past 4 years, I have gladly taken on the responsibility of caring for my siblings. Our father works himself endlessly to provide for all of us, but his job requires him to be away from home for weeks at a time. We are the epitome of the family who is just barely getting by. 2 years ago, enough money was saved up for me to be able to attend a year of community college. During that time, I worked hard enough to make it on the dean's list, and I would gladly put in the effort again if I had the opportunity. Thankfully, my siblings and father get to see my mother at least twice a year, Christmas and summer vacation. No child in this country should have to go through the heartache that my siblings endure each time they leave their mother for home. What is a home to a child without a mother to come home to? As hard as I try to be that temporary substitute, that is just not enough. Although I have been approved for President Obama's Deferred Action Program, I remain undocumented and therefore have not been able to hug my mother in 4 years. I will never forget the incident that happened with my brother last year as we were getting ready for his music concert, and last minute he begged not to go because he didn't want to be the only kid without his parents present again. The fact that she is a phone call away but we remain miles apart can throw me into a frenzy of depression if I let it. It may be easy for most of you to think that the simple solution to this problem would be to pack up our bags and go, but the reality is that Mexico is not an easy place to call home. In its current state, it lacks the sense of security and the opportunities that we take for granted in the U.S. every day. Some days I have hope that my family will get the chance to reunite with our mother in our home, but some days it is hard to be so optimistic. The ban on my mom is not just a punishment on her, but on our whole family as well. On behalf of my siblings who have had to grow up for most of their childhood without our mother, I am ready to take leadership in this campaign and ask Congress, all of our representatives, and President Obama to please come together and support a reform that will reunite families like mine. Thank you.
Bravo!